Oh, wow, those are some interesting decorations there.
Trump 2024. Trump 2024.
I wonder who they're voting for, as of course the situation domestically inside of the United States is very tumultuous, to say the least, as we have a new FBI warning and a larger, huge issue coming ahead, regardless of the results on November 5th, that will be very important to deal with, that was just revealed from a major Bombshell Tucker Carlson interview that I think is absolutely worth considering. As we have a very key pivotal moment that we're dealing with right now in America that I think is important to pay attention to, as whatever will happen, it still doesn't look good for the average American out there, as the situation is just getting more and more dystopian by the day, as this country is in major trouble regardless of whatever happens on November 5th. As of course, before playing the Tucker Carlson clip and starting that conversation, there's a lot of other things at play here that are very important to, of course, pay attention to, as we got new footage coming from Mexico highlighting specifically thousands of illegal aliens that are now en route trying to get to the United States before November 5th, as a lot of people are looking for this larger opportunity to cross America before America potentially closes its doors under the Donald Trump presidency. This video is from the Associated Press, highlighting the new caravans that have started and are rapidly approaching the United States. How will the Biden administration deal with this larger kind of issue on the border that has promoted a lot of human and child trafficking? Well, it's going to be an interesting one, as of course, the more of these people that walk in, the more of a democratic future this country has. As it wouldn't surprise me, as their last kind of move here would be to, of course, just open the border up once again, especially if they lose the election. There's also a retail apocalypse happening inside of the United States right now that is not good to see, as a lot of big corporations like Walgreens, 7-Eleven, TGIF, Big Lots, Dirt Cheap, Hooters are dealing with the retail collapse, as many places are not surviving and sustaining themselves financially, and of course we'll have bigger issues to deal with when it comes to automation, technological advancement, and of course online retailers that have in some places absolutely eviscerated the commons and spaces where people used to previously gather. All of this as the United States is prioritizing financing and, of course, funding a lot of the conflict in the world, specifically now the Middle East, now where we're also paying for the bombs and also the humanitarian aid and the construction to rebuild what those bombs devastated and destroyed in the first place. As Hezbollah now is claiming responsibility for a drone attack that they did on Benjamin Netanyahu's personal home, as the IDF just made a major strike against Hezbollah's naval base in Beirut, as there's small skirmishes and rumblings potentially happening in places like North Korea, Taiwan, as there's legitimate reports right now of North Korean troops right now being sent to the front lines in the proxy battle in Ukraine that's happening between the East and the West. All of this as Vladimir Putin, who of course the United States is trying to isolate, is now hosting a major Brics summit inside of his country, where he is going to be hosting 36 world leaders. As it's still unclear if the UN General Secretary will attend these meetings, but of course other countries like China, India, and Iran are of course expanding their military and economic ties to each other, even though the United States is trying to sanction Russia and specifically tell them not to do business internationally, which has sparked them to do a lot more business internationally. Now, this Brics summit does highlight larger moves being made against U.S. hegemony and the U.S. petrodollar, as this summit also specifically highlights how the West trying to isolate Russia isn't working at all. The Ukrainian government told the UN General Secretary to not go to these meetings. It's still unclear if he will or he won't. As CNN's headline here reads, I think in the most accurate fashion, surprisingly, that says, quote, "The West wants Putin isolated. A major summit he's hosting shows he's far from alone." as there are global alliances now being met directly against America, Western values, and its interests, as the United States keeps spending more and more money on these foreign conflicts and endeavors that, of course, disrupt global trade, isolate them from the international community, and of course push our own enemies closer together with each other, as the interest payments on the U.S. national debt of $36 trillion is now nearly $1.2 trillion per year in interest on the debt alone. About 23% of all taxes, tariffs, and fees collected by the U.S. government goes just to paying off the debt that we have incurred. As Elon Musk said in response to this by declaring that America will go de facto bankrupt. Now, you add up all of those issues, and you have a forecast that isn't very favorable towards America and its people. Those are serious, legitimate issues that we have to deal with. And there's one president that says that she's going to continue the way that we've been going, especially internationally, especially with all the proxy conflicts that we're involved in. And another president that, of course, is promising to end a lot of these conflicts and a lot of these taxes. And that, of course, is Donald Trump, that today the ex-UK foreign chief predicted will actually quickly end the foreign proxy conflict that's happening right now in Ukraine. But there's a bigger problem at head here, as of course Tucker Carlson recently was stunned by a dystopian prediction made by one of the guests he was interviewing, journalist Mark Halperin, who horrified Tucker Carlson with his prediction about what is happening here that, in my opinion, is absolutely very credible. Here's the clip.
100% serious. I think there'll be alcoholism, there'll be broken marriages, there'll be
What?
Yeah. They think he's the worst person possible to be president, and having won by the hand of Jim Comey and Fluke in 2016 and then performed in office for 4 years and denied who won the election last time, and January 6th, the fact that under a fair election, America chose by the rules pre-agreed to Donald Trump again, I think it will cause the biggest mental health crisis in the history of America. And I don't think it will be kind of a passing thing that by the inauguration will be fine. I think it will be sustained and unprecedented and hideous. And I don't think the country's ready for it. I hope I'm wrong, but I think that's what's going to happen for tens of millions of people, because they think that their fellow citizens supporting Trump is a sign of fundamental evil at the heart of their fellow citizens and of the nation.
And thinking about that, he's not wrong. Specifically with how much is invested in November 5th and the results thereafter, with how much people are putting all of their hope, of their joy, of their future in this one particular election, that there's a lot at stake here. Now, Time magazine had a very interesting piece that correlated how NFL team losing in their hometown actually contributed to the rise of domestic violence. Now, you add that on a larger scale, as of course politics is like team sports. You look at the larger kind of figures, you look at the larger kind of enthrallment of the general American public and just how hyperbolic and sensationalistic our political speech has become. You look at the investment that the average American makes into all of this, especially with their mental capacities, especially with the social media algorithms. You have an absolute recipe for disaster, regardless of whoever wins. And I know the journalist in this Tucker Carlson clip was specifically talking about the left wing, which does have a larger propensity towards a mental health crisis. If you look at liberal women, and specifically liberal men, their overall mental health is in rapid decline and far off less better than, of course, people who are on the right wing. If you look at the prescription of things like antidepressants, white women are specifically the highest recipients of it. You look at the Democratic voter base, it is overwhelmingly white women. As we already are dealing with a major mental health crisis, how will that major health crisis with people losing their minds after November 5th reflect on immigration, the economy, our larger standing on the world here, as the people are a larger byproduct of its government, as it's fair to say that no matter who wins, there's going to be an awful lot of serious consequences on the line here that are going to have to be dealt with in one way or another. As Mike Halpern continues on and added this to his latest comments.
That's how they view it.
Well, that's very heavy.
Yeah. So that's one thing I think will happen. And then I hope that Trump handles it well. I think it'll be up to what Trump's attitude is. And I think it'll be up to the governors of the states, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, and most of the battleground state governors are Democrats, to be as transparent and clear about any irregularity and its potential impact on the outcome. If all that happens, and Kamala Harris decides to, in the transition and in her inaugural address and in her legislative agenda, to be gracious, I think that we could be in a decent place.
Will she be gracious? Let's be honest here. She's not known for her grace, as she recently freaked out during a Fox News interview where she was very angry for being questioned in a very contentious manner, as she doesn't deal with stress really well. And there's a lot of stress with the position that she's trying to put herself in, as there's also a lot of accusations about potential alcoholism use. There's a larger kind of accusation about people, of course, reporting that she has a lot of anxiety. And I think Halpern here definitely highlights that no matter what happens, there's still going to be some major issues that we are going to have to be dealing with, as a lot of people expect them just to go to the voting box on November 5th and then everything, bada bing, bada boom, be fixed automatically. And that's not how the world works. Things are going to get a lot more complicated, a lot more weird, a lot more dangerous, a lot more awkward between each other, between Americans, between households that will face the brunt of this larger political circus that we are all enthralled in. If you haven't watched this Mark Halpern interview, definitely go check it out. It's a little bit long, but worth considering, especially as, of course, the first thing that I thought about was this sports team psychological finding, highlighting how these external factors do play an extremely important role in our domestic lives, and do highlight how there's going to be a lot of people that are angry, as there's a lot of sensationalistic, rage-baiting, crazy people out there, like Dem strategist Carville, who now is advocating for armed revolution if Trump wins, because he claimed that people of color will be arrested by, quote, MAGA. Again, these are wild, insane, heated comments that have no basis in reality and are only meant to, of course, muddy the waters while emotionally manipulating people in a very sinister way.
You better pay attention. Every time that you have somebody that is a friend of yours, somebody says, well, I'm going to vote for Trump. So just so you know what you're voting for, do you really want me to go to jail? Because that's what you're voting for. He's telling you. And all of you that listen to this, get on the phone, call people, email people, and say, wait a minute, this is what's at stake here. It's more than the minimum wage. It's more than a trade agreement. It's more than anything else. It's about the very fundamental idea of what the United States is, and what we are and who we are. And I plan on informing people to the best of my ability about this between now and Election Day. And I hope you join me and go right up to the wall and inform people in the best way that you can. This is what's at stake, the very existence of the United States. And I am not at all exaggerating. Not at all.
I think he's exaggerating a lot, as of course that's not what Donald Trump said. And to call people and say that you're going to be in jail if Donald Trump wins, again, no basis in actual reality. As Carville had more crazy comments to make on MSNBC, all of this as a political rival of the Democratic political party, Steve Bannon, delivered his verdict on what he thinks was going to happen this election year from prison. Steve Bannon is coming to an end of a 4-month prison sentence for what many people believe to be trumped up political charges against him, as a lot of very close Trump associates have been charged, have been sued, have been arrested, have been thrown into jail. And the Democrats are literally saying that the Republicans are going to do that, when I think it's fair to say a lot of people already assume that they're doing it to their political opponents. as Elon Musk understands a lot of the larger implications here. He's getting involved with his super PACs, which Kamala Harris actually cackled as she suggests that the U.S. government will be looking into Elon Musk for allowing a person to earn $1 million for signing up to his petition. A petition, by the way, to support the American Constitution.
So Elon Musk is giving away $1 million a day to voters who sign a petition. Do you have concerns about that in the context of law, the sort of legal framework around elections? And secondly, a Reuters investigation has shown something like 300 cases of political violence already in the run-up to the election. Can you just address what can be done and what the federal government can do to push back against that?
Well, on the first point, I think people are looking into that. On the second point...
When you say people, do you mean the U.S. government?
I mean, I hear that folks are looking into it just based on the stuff you all are reporting.
Yes, hilarious. Another well-placed cackle there by Kamala Harris. Yes. 4 more years, please. We need more cackling. We need more joy. Oh, boy. So, yeah. How are you dealing with the mental health crisis? Have you seen anyone affected by it? I bet you did. It's all around us. It's pretty severe. It's pretty bad out there, and it's only going to get a lot worse. That's my perspective. I think this Halpern guy was absolutely right on the money, and it's something to, of course, consider, especially when it comes to the larger problems that are ahead of us that are worth addressing right now before they become too crazy and too wild. So maybe this is the time that a lot of people try to de-stress a little bit more, try to meditate, try to have serious conversations about their mental health and the mental health of their loved ones to prevent larger problems for our society, our country, and our people. Sadly, we're in this weird situation that there's no going back from, and I'm already anxious, so that's just me. As I talk about my own mental health issues, hacks, and things that I have implemented in my own life that have helped me tremendously on LukeUnfiltered.com. And if you're on LukeUnfiltered.com, I shared a very personal story about all the heartaches and all the very difficult situations that I'm going through right now. And I'm definitely not going through an easy situation. I feel like I'm definitely being challenged. I'm definitely being tested. I definitely have something that is trying to end everything that I'm doing. And I'm very persistent. And your support on LukeUnfiltered.com keeps us going. So if you've considered signing up before, now's the time to do it. We release a lot of behind-the-scenes video. We're going to have a very special one for you later on today, just for members of LukeUnfiltered.com, where I go into just a larger battle that's happening with me mentally, physically, and spiritually, and how I'm personally doing my best to address it. Again, a lot of this stuff isn't easy, but it's easy with your direct support. So tune in. Special broadcast just for members, and you get to call into our live show. We're going to have another live show, 6 p.m. Eastern, later on today here on youtube.com/wearechange. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on this YouTube channel.